Every word that leaves my mouth is gold, mate, so you better catch every single one.
What is up, my bodyweight warriors? Welcome back to another podcast. This is the second episode of the podcast, and one of the most requested guests that I had on the comments on the last one was for Lachlan Walker and Tyson Edwards. They are both YouTubers on this platform, and they created numerous exercise series, one of which inspired me to create a lot of the stuff that I do on YouTube, which is originally the Project Planche. If anyone's been around for that long, one of my original series that I did, they inspired that from their original Stronger series. And recently they've just come out with Stronger Series 2, which is basically a TV show of gymnastics, strength and conditioning. A really fun watch. Got to be hours of footage. It's taken them 2 years to edit, and all the episodes are out now. I highly suggest, if you haven't already, go to check it out, go watch it, go have a look at their channels. Obviously they'll be linked down below. But before you do that, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Lachlan Walker and Tyson Edwards. Enjoy.
Just wait.
I think it's a good place to start. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Today I am joined by, as I'm sure you've already heard, Lachlan Walker and Tyson Edwards, the stars of the Stronger series on YouTube. Really killing it with their bodyweight training, kind of mastering that full planche, middle splits. Just generally strong and pretty funny guys. So it's really an honor to have them onto the podcast today, chat about themselves and get to know them a little bit better. Not that you maybe haven't already after watching like countless hours of their Strongest series on YouTube. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you on.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes. And congrats as an order, man, for your YouTube. You just hit 50K. Good work, man.
Did. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. I mean, I feel like you guys deserve even more credit on your Stronger series, because that was kind of one of the things that actually got me into making videos, like one of my first like series as such. Definitely not like on the scale of Stronger, like it didn't take me 2 years to edit or whatever, but it was definitely inspired by your original Stronger series. So it's going to be a cool chat. So
Thanks,
I guess probably the place I want to start is that, like me, you got into this at a later age. Obviously, gymnasts usually start at like the age of 5, and then they're basically just made to be beasts from day one. Jumping into it like at an older age, I know you both come from a different background. Like, could you perhaps give some like a brief history of what you've done, what your experience is? I know you've maybe got like 15 years between you in kind of bodyweight gymnastic stuff, and then how you ended up getting to this point that you're at currently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that is a great question. That's my voice. Well, I think because I dived in there, I'll go first. For me, I was always athletic as a kid. I did, where I'm from, it was called Little Athletics. So that was, long jump, sprinting, high jump, triple jump, all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed that and never really took to team sports. So that was where I shone at first. And then as I got older, I kind of got out of like structured training where you'd go and have a coach. And that was when I got into parkour and free running and tricking, where I invented my own training. And then it kind of, from there, I was always I got into bodybuilding. Two lineages. And the first one was the weightlifter Tyson. And the second one was the bodyweight Tyson. And the weightlifter one went from bodybuilding to powerlifting to Olympic lifting. And the bodyweight one went from parkour, tricking, free running to meeting Lachlan and starting like rings strength training. And then it went into just bodyweight strength training in general. And that brings us here today. And I like lots of other stuff too, but that's what my channel is mainly about. And the bodyweight strength, that's what's strong.
Yeah, so for me, when I was a kid, I was like any other kid, really, just playing sports, just having fun, you know what I mean? Like soccer, tennis, those kind of things. I started doing some weights when I got maybe like 15, I think, but I was doing like really light weights, high reps, because I was very conscious of not damaging my growth plates, because I was really short and thin. Anyway, and then I got tall very quick. Anyway, but when I was a kid, I was always, like, my brother and I and my cousin would always be interested in flips. We thought they were really cool. So like we would, especially when like the parkour videos and that first started coming out, we just wanted to learn how to backflip outside. So we would do it, but it would often be pretty sketchy, like into the pool and that. So we'd go to a gym to learn some technique. And one session I went there, I just was just playing around like everyone does on all the different things. And I tried the rings, and I got stuck in at the top of a pull-up, and I was trying to do a muscle-up, but I couldn't do it. And I was like, man, I thought I was like reasonably strong, but I can't even get my body on top of these rings. So yeah, that was like motivation to, I just asked the coach, like, how do I do this? And they gave me some tips, and then I started training that. And then once I got that, it feels so good when you get a skill. And I just wanted like a little bit of a more difficult skill. And yeah, I just got obsessed with that kind of, like I just realized that at that point that I love this. So, and I feel like it's the most difficult physical challenge there is. I think if there was something harder, then I would be doing that. And that's also then why I started doing gymnastics, because it combines this strength with the power. Like you got to be able to control your body and swing with it. You need the flexibility, the aerial awareness. So it's just like everything combines, and it's really intense. And I just love that, like total body like control. Yeah.
Does that mean that you got to a point where like you hit puberty and that, and then you were like, I'm done growing now, like growth plates are done, and then you got into stuff? Or did it just kind of, you found something you really liked and you were
I hadn't even considered it until I did it. Do you know what I mean?
Growth plates are done.
Yeah. See, I don't know, it's interesting. I just never tried it, and maybe because you only ever see like those elite beasts, you don't think that you could do it. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, that our whole thing is we want to change that perception. Like anyone can do it. So hopefully, we're having that kind of impact.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think I've seen anyone close to 6 foot doing full planche, and like you're definitely up there. And I think Tyson as well. Like you're pretty heavy. But he's got some big legs. So I mean, it's definitely impressive to see what you guys are doing. Going on from, as you said, being tall and trying to prove like you don't have to be that standard gymnast to do a lot of these incredible stuff. What was the biggest kind of obstacle that you've had to overcome when it comes to achieving a lot of these bodyweight stuff, or just like generally your training goals?
I'd say the biggest obstacle was probably when I started training, like when I bought my own rings. So yeah, pretty much when I was getting the muscle up, I think it might have been either just as I was getting it or when I got it, I bought my own rings and hung them in the tree at home and started training at home, because like I know you need to train at least maybe 3 times a week. So it's hard to have an access to a gym, especially when you're starting out 3 days a week. So I just remember though, like everyone was like, oh, you're going like, this is a fad, you know, like you're gonna buy these rings and then train for like a week and then you're gonna never use them again. And then from there, when I went to start doing gymnastics classes, like I couldn't get into a squad because it's like unheard of, like an adult coming in and train competitive gymnastics. You know what I mean? Like they'd put you in an adult class, but there's no real direction there. Like you have to direct yourself. So yeah, it was really hard to get taken seriously, I think. And then I do remember like it being awkward being in a squad, and when the kids are way younger than me and better than me, and I'm like this awkward guy trying to learn these skills. But like at the end of the day, like you got to live your life doing what you love and don't worry what people think about that. You know what I mean? So, and then now like I'm at the point where
at least you didn't start gymnastics with that mustache in the squad. Who's that
pretty
man
good.
with my kids?
It gets comments, boys. So it must be working. Women, do you guys like it? Yes. Women in Tom's audience, what do you think? Yes. So but yeah, like anything. Whenever you start anything new, you're gonna have that awkward phase. And you're gonna be uncomfortable, but you gotta embrace that and just keep going. You know. Did that answer your question, man?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like that was the biggest challenge, because that's kind of you got to prove it sometimes to people that you're serious about what you want to do. You're going to put the work in, and when they see that, they'll like when people started noticing my progress, it was much easier for them to say, "Oh, okay, like yeah, I'm happy to train you or have you train with us." Yeah.
No, I've experienced the same thing.
Tom?
Sorry?
How tall are you, Tom?
I'm 6'3" or 191 centimeters. So
Oh,
Based.
yeah, it doesn't help. But yeah, no, I've experienced the same thing. Like getting into gymnastics, like it's quite an old school sport, and people seem to be a little bit hesitant to, like, if you're not going to compete and you're not going to win medals, they're almost like not that interested in helping you out. At least initially, they see it as that. I don't think they see it as necessarily a hobby that somebody can do on the side. I think they see it as very much like a sport, and you're there to compete. So I think that's kind of a lot of the body weight kind of seen as changing that perspective, and I think there's a lot of people wanting to just do it for fun and do it as a hobby, which is like the main point of doing it.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that big change since when I started, because calisthenics wasn't even really a thing when I started. Because I remember as well, I bought my rings from, I think it was ringtraining.com, and that was like the only place you could buy rings, and now they're everywhere, which is fantastic. Yeah, so I'm glad to see it's changing.
Do you guys have Kmart in England, Tom?
No, I mean, you're just here. You should know.
It's just true. It's just like a discount store. It's actually pretty good now. Am I right, Aussies? I went in there like a year ago, and they had rings on sale for $5 each, and I was like, whoa, because like Lachlan said, when we first started, you couldn't find them anywhere, and they weren't expensive, but they were decently priced. To just see rings there on clearance for $5 just shows to me how far that this movement has come. And I mean, they were on clearance, people weren't buying them, so what I did was buy them all and then sold them to other people. So at least people that are actually interested, because obviously if people know me, they know what I do, and they're more likely to have that interest. So I gave it to people that deserved it and could make good use of them. But yeah, that's just an interesting example I noticed in terms of how far it's come.
100%.
And that's how Tyson funded 2013. Is that right, mate?
So I got some quick fire questions for you, right? Favorite exercise?
Oh, what?
Favorite exercise?
Favorite exercise?
Lunch with the bands right now.
Okay. I was just going to say crosshold because it's so damn intense and it's such an iconic skill.
Yeah, for sure. What about least favorite?
Just like, if we're just going quick fire, I'll say rope climbs, but it's not because I don't like doing them. Oi, mate, oi. It's not because I don't want to do them. It's just when I'm going to do them, I feel nervous, and I'm like, this is going to suck because it's going to be so intense. So not in a bad way. It's my least favorite. In a kind of a good way, it's my least favorite.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say my least favorite skill would be one that doesn't benefit me at all, because that's, you know what I mean? Like I'm more than happy to do something that is not pleasant if it's going to give you really good results. So anyway, but in terms of, I think what you mean is like something you just don't look forward to doing, or whatever. I was thinking maybe leg lifts, like against the store bars, just because that was a weakness of mine, and like, because for me, my shoulders were so tight that it would stretch. Not only would you obviously get the ab work, which was hard, but I'd get a stretch in my shoulders. It's getting better, which is satisfying, but I guess it's kind of a weakness of mine. So, but I don't know, it's not so bad. I don't like the leg lift.
Yeah, sometimes the stuff that sucks also is enjoyable in a weird way, masochistic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Proudest training achievement.
One of my proudest moments was when I did 6 for 6 at the 2013 Olympic lifting nationals, and I didn't win the competition, but I won my grouping, and the final clean and jerk was going to be a PB, and I was obviously super nervous to do it because I'd not performed on the grand stage. Not that it was that grand being Olympic lifting in Australia, but yeah, when I came out and did it, it was, and oh, spoiler, yeah, so I came out and did it. And then when I went back, I realized that either the coach lied to me in a good way, or there was a mistake, and I'd lifted 3 kilos more than what I thought it was going to be. So initially it was going to be a PB, but it ended up being like a 4 kilo PB. So yeah, just at a national level to go 6 for 6, which in Olympic lifting is great. Like, it means you did really well. Maybe some people think, oh, you should always miss one because it means you pushed yourself. But I really pushed myself and got 6 for 6 on the grand stage and PB. So that's a really proud moment for me, my training career, that comes quick to mind in these quick fire situations you put me in.
Yeah, hard for me. Like, 2 things come to mind there because they're sort of different. One would just be achieving the Iron Cross, because everyone told me, especially when I started training, like, why are you training for that? You're never going to do it. Like, mainly because I'm tall as well as well as starting late. Because even like good gymnasts some can't do it. So that was so satisfying. Well, 1, because obviously I just really wanted to do it, but 2, to say like, yeah, don't tell me what I can and can't. Like, if you want something, you work for it. You can do it. So that was. It's just such a cool skill. It's so intense. I feel like if you did that once a week, you'd stay ripped for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and the second one that came to mind was just second on rings at nationals. Well, this year and last year, so I've got it both years. That's a bit of a spoiler because the video hasn't come out yet because I've had no time. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, but I think I came second by 0.1 this year, so it was just like so close. Yeah, and it just feels good to be up. Like, yeah, I'm really happy that I can perform at my best when it really matters, especially on something I really care about.
Awesome. And biggest training inspiration?
YVG, baby. Yes. It used to be. You know what I'm talking about, Tom?
No.
Oh, come on, mate. Tyson?
And
Why was it YGB?
You take over. But yeah, when I started, he was phenomenal. Inspiration to me. I gotta say now that Niall, it changes obviously, but I love his attitude. That's like, because I feel like he's very similar to me in the way that he thinks. And so when he gets psyched up, it gets me psyched up, and he's killing it. So yeah.
Yeah, he's doing so well. I love watching his stuff, and he has a very infectious attitude for training. So if you don't watch him, go check him out. And I mean, for me, I have a lot of inspirations. 2 that come to mind, which directly influenced a training session. I mean, they influenced more than that. But Ilya Ilin, who's an Olympic weightlifter. It's funny, like, you have me on your bodyweight channel, and I'm just not.
No, I'm interested in it as well. Like, it's something I've started doing more recently. It's like, I think it's an awesome. It's like an awesome challenge of power, strength, mobility. Like, it kind of combines a lot of stuff. So. Yeah,
it's awesome, and he's obviously an Olympic lifter, and he always does so well. He has never lost a high up competition, to my knowledge, and I feel like same with what Lachlan said. I mean, Yuri initially inspired Lachlan, but now Niall does, and Lachlan said it was mainly the mindset. Very much is the mindset that I find inspiring. So Ilya Ilin had this awesome mindset where he would just approach the weight and just rip it up. Like, he didn't wait or stall or anything. And because he would do that plus win, I just found really boss. If anyone looks him up now, you'll find he got some of his medals stripped for testing positive. Downer, but I still really like him. And then Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter, his mindset and the short amount of time he accomplished so much inspires me. And I remember that Ilya Ilin won Worlds and broke a world record within the same time frame that Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo. And after those 2 things, I was just like, whoa! Like, I just had to go to gym and train. So 2 of those just stick out for me at the moment.
Can I give an honourable mention as well?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know this is fire, man, but
nice, cool.
Yeah. I got to say Jordan Jovchev as well, of course. for anyone that's not aware, he competed in 6 Olympics as a gymnast, and the last one he did, I think he was 38 or 39, and he made the rings final, and that is so impressive. And I think he came 7th. Like his dismount wasn't perfect, but that's, to me, I was like,
we watched that.
Yeah.
Lachlan and I and some others watched it like you would watch a football final.
That's crazy.
Watching him compete in the rings final.
But I mean, that is impressive. Yeah. Like, there's you don't see gymnasts really do more than 3, like, because that's 12 years. That's a long training age for a gymnast, and even 3's long.
Any athlete, right? Like that, it's long for any, but let alone gymnastics. So yeah, it's incredible. And so anyway, like one thing I thought was like, hey, if you're 25, that means you got 14 years. And that's to be at the best in the world level, you know what I mean? Like, let alone being strong and doing cool things, you know what I mean? So like, I think that really inspired me in the way that I'm like, wow, 14 years is a long time to get very, very good. So again, no excuses. Start training. If you know you want to do it, just do it. Don't stop yourself because you think you can't for no valid reason.
100%. And going on from, like, your mention of Niall Wilson, I guess, favourite fitness YouTubers at the moment?
I have to say Niall. Yeah. Is that what you said, Tyson?
Yeah, like you can't not say that. He's doing so well.
Yeah.
Because Lachlan and I were there before he was very popular on YouTube. And just to see how it's changed for him and how he's gone with it is inspiring. And the actual, what he is doing, you know, an Olympic level gymnast, putting their training and giving that insight into their training online, like for free, to check it out. Would be very grateful to be able to see that, because obviously you would think with that level of commitment he could just put it all into training, but it's awesome that he's into making these kind of videos and putting it out there. And I just find it really inspiring. And I'm just checking my subscriptions to see if I'm forgetting anyone. Brandon Wynn is on YouTube at the moment. Could put a bit more effort in, but he's doing really well. Like, in terms of, like, this guy is super strong, and he's just he gives tips and stuff on training. You couldn't not. You'd have to be a fool to not take advantage of just subscribing and checking his stuff out.
Awesome.
But once again, quick fire, those are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Also, if I can just give an honourable mention, which isn't really an honourable mention, there's this channel called Tumble Track, and it's tumble without an E, so it just ends at L, and track with the C missing. And they just sell product, like overpriced product. But when they put up a video to sell the product, they give a tutorial on how you'd use it. And every now and then there's a good tip for, like, I could like learn the back tuck by doing that, or improve it by doing this drill or something. So I watch their sales channel. They have like this like $1,000 set to help with the round off. You're just like, why would you spend that much for the round off? You know, like, just get like some marks in the sand or on the grass or something.
You're plugging them right now.
Yeah, I was like, before sponsored.
Yeah. Also, because you said you want a few, right, Tom, or you just want the main one?
No, just kind of off the top of your head. It was just like it's always interesting to see where people are looking, getting inspiration.
Yeah.
Fire Lachlan.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, man. I totally agree. As in, it's insightful to know what other people get inspired by. One of the guy I wanted to mention is Sam Oldham. Do you follow him?
Yeah, I trained at the same uni as he was at.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. He's just very good. Clean,
big guy.
He's really clean. He does very difficult skills. He's been a bit unlucky with injuries. But yeah, I started following him and Niall, I don't know, maybe around the same time. But it was just when they were posting their training, and I'm like, these guys are so good. Yeah, I don't know. I think when you get into gymnastics, I don't think until that point and you try to actually do it that you realize how superhuman these guys are. Like, it's just, I remember turning up when I first started uni. I was at Loughborough, and there was some English national team people there, very, very high level gymnasts. And
I kind of feel like it broke me a little bit, because as I started getting into gymnastics, I was watching these people doing these like world-class skills and performances, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll be doing that in a couple of years. And it took me that time to realize these guys are they're not human. They're doing something ridiculous stuff. So
yeah, you can still do it, mate. You can still do it.
Maybe one day. No, what was it, 14 years?
Have you been doing more gymnastics training as well, as opposed to just strength and that, like the more dynamic stuff?
I've done some tumbling, but I did rip some ligaments in my ankle, which then stopped me doing that. I seem to have a habit of like getting into something and then getting injured and then doing something else. But such is training. I think I would like to get back into it for sure. Though it's a weakness of mine as well. So it's something I'm not very good at. I'm kind of naturally relatively strong. I used to do powerlifting, Olympic lifting, but I'm not super coordinated. So it'd be kind of another challenge, I guess.
Don't worry though, man. Like, even if you feel like that's not a reason to like not do it. Because again, one thing that comes to mind is I remember, and you can look it up. One of my old comp videos, I remember some guy was like, "Oh, you're doing really well, man. Good progress, but can you please be a little bit more elegant?" And I'm like, mate, I'm really trying, but that's just what you look like when you're not quite there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's definitely changed. Like, that's just kind of the skill. As you get better, you can start to make things look nice, as opposed to just happy to make it. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I find that really fun as well, like mastering a skill like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the difference between being able to do it and then being able to do it like perfectly. And also going off on a side note of you doing stuff from years ago, I was flicking through your YouTube channel and looking back at your old videos, both your channels, and there's some quite entertaining clips and some good Windows Movie Maker editing. If anyone does want to watch, it's definitely worth going back and checking them out. They are quite funny.
Cheers, man. Good old Movie Maker. So many little bugs.
So I guess that brings you on to like, obviously getting into YouTube. Why do you create videos? As I said at the beginning, your original Stronger series was something I stumbled across and kind of just watched the whole thing through back to back. So I was really just interested. I hadn't seen anyone doing this sort of stuff that much on YouTube before. So I was very much inspired to create a lot of the stuff that I do because of your original Stronger series. What inspired you to create YouTube videos? Share what you're doing.
May I, Tyson? Yes.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, and please feel free to jump in at any time, Tyson. We originally, before the Stronger series, we had a thing called the Insane Workout series. I think that's what we called it.
Mine was intense.
Okay, yeah.
I had to be different.
And it's also on our channel, so anyone that wants to see like pre-Stronger, which kind of led to Stronger, can watch that. Basically, I was about to go on exchange. I watched it the other day, you know. Oh, really?
Yeah, nice. Great.
For everyone who is watching, I'll put links in the description down below to everything we talk about as well, so you can go grab it. Or in the show notes.
Cool. So yeah, I was about to go on exchange to Canada, and I don't know, Tyson and I have probably been training together for probably only been a few months. Do you think, Tyson?
I think we'd been training together a bit longer, maybe like a year or two, but this was like a time to like really put our effort into something specific. Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, the idea was, because I was going overseas for a significant amount of time, we were like, all right, before I leave, let's write a list of goals and achieve all these skills. So we were very ambitious, you know. We had like one arm tune up, I think planche was in like shredder planche maybe. Anyway, just think very similar to our stuff now.
They were so ambitious. Yeah, they're like their goals now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think we had 2 weeks to do it, something like that. Yeah, we learned a lot from it, obviously, because we realized, and then we didn't give ourselves any rest before the goal attempt. So I'm pretty sure on the day we tried the goals, we were already fatigued, so we failed everything. But we still made progress, and the videos were really funny. Like I guess that's why we're friends as well, because we enjoy just joking around as well as training hard. So when we filmed it, we found that really fun to capture that as well. And then I guess we just enjoyed the videos ourselves, so that we were like, let's like put way more thought into this and do a proper like make this better than it was, because it was, yeah, we didn't really think too much. We kind of just went with it, and then we sat down and actually that's how we planned out the Strongest series, and that you can obviously tell that it was well thought out and well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why, for me, maybe it's different for Tyson, but for me, yeah, I'm very passionate about. I guess I'm a passionate person in general, but when I realized I loved bodyweight strength and gymnastics, yeah, just naturally I'd be always getting my friends. You know, I was at university, so any of my uni friends, I'd be like, "Hey man, let's go do a ring session," yeah, I got a lot of people into it just by just naturally wanting, because obviously it's fun training with friends, and I think this is the best thing ever. So why wouldn't I want other people to be enjoying it too? Yeah, and then obviously doing it online is even better because you can do one workout and then 10,000 people can see that. And yeah, it's I think it's very fulfilling and rewarding when you see a comment from someone saying they started doing this because of this video, or this helped them get this skill. Like, it's just, yeah, it's there's not many things in life that I actually find more like satisfying than that. So
that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I've always liked being in front of the camera and doing stuff. So if I think back, like as a kid, guys, Tom doesn't watch Dragon Ball Z. Are you familiar with Pokemon?
I've watched Pokemon.
Yeah. So do you know who Snorlax is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Snorlax is like one of my favorites, and I had him as a plush toy. So my dad had a camcorder, and I would like set the camcorder up and then put Snorlax in front, and that was the Snorlax show. And he had guests, and he had fun, and then
are you gonna play these, mate?
I've what's it called when I don't know what it's called when you move like tape to digital. I've done some of them, and they're like so. They're actually like too over the top rude and stuff, because it was like an untamed 13-year-old like saying whatever came into their head, and it's just crazy. And then after that, with my friend Kurt, we did another show called Extreme Sports, and it was like the EX was hyphened, so it was like Extreme Sports because it wasn't extreme at all. And we had like 10 characters each that we would just come out and do, and we were just doing crazy stuff. This was before, you know, kids could have access to editing unless they knew someone. So it was just, you did the take, stopped it, what's the next thing? It's kind of WWE like, really. And then even as a kid, there's like a clip of me when I was 4 or 5, and as soon as the camera's on me, I'm like pulling my pants down and like...
You're a nut.
It's good to see nothing's changed.
I did it in Stronger 2, guys. Check it out.
Yeah, I was going to say Fusion gone wrong seems to be like the epitome of
a
YouTube.
Manifestation of all that, yeah. But no, I've always loved being in front of the camera, and sometimes it could come down to, you know, who's around you, who else wants to do stuff, and Lachlan just happened to be someone else that wanted to do that. Whether he'd done it heaps before or not didn't really matter. Someone was keen to film and do stuff, so we shared that similar interest in the training and combined it with something else I really enjoyed to do, and that's kind of why I like doing this stuff, doing Stronger. And then when YouTube came out, it was like, this was a platform that, because you would make this stuff and think, oh, I imagine people saw it, what would they think, what would they do? And you couldn't take like the Snorlax show to a film festival and be like, oh, roll this, could ya? See what they think, you know? But YouTube kind of let you do that, and because it was blowing up in 2006 or 7, so I was 16, it just seemed like, oh wow, I could put some of my stuff on there. And it took me a really long time to actually start putting effort into YouTube and putting stuff on there. But from the start, I knew the potential that it had. And of course, there's all this drama about demonetization and stuff at the moment. But in and of itself, YouTube is an awesome platform. And that's what drove me to film my stuff and put it up on YouTube.
Yeah,
nice.
I feel like there's other reasons as well for myself, Tom, that we'll finish the Skype and I'll be like, oh, damn it, I forgot that. But like, because one of the things that's popped into my head as Tyson was talking then was, I originally just naturally filmed my training. One to like check technique, things like that, but also to document your progress, because I find it, obviously it's very motivating to see, man, I couldn't do that, now I can. But it also helps keep you in check, because sometimes you might be really hard on yourself, like, I haven't made any progress in this last 2 months, but then you look back and you realize you actually have made really good progress, or like you're much better technique, or things like that. That's just, I find personally satisfying as well. Yeah.
I think that's huge, especially with like gymnastics, bodyweight, mobility stuff. It takes so long to achieve these skills. I think that's what's awesome about your YouTube channels, because you can see that you've been doing this for a long time, and as you said, like, you had those goals that were going to take 2 weeks, and then they're still very similar to the goals that you're trying to achieve now, like 4 years later. And I think that, like, not many people see that. A lot of people, they see the end result and be like, oh cool, I want to do that, it will take me 3 months, whatever. I think being able to see that it's taken you 4 or 5 years plus of really consistent hard work to get where you are today is, I think that in itself is very inspiring, and just a good, honest representation.
To enjoy it too, Tom.
Yeah,
you
100%.
need to enjoy what you're doing, because you say that we've been doing it for such a long time, but it doesn't, like, it does, but it doesn't feel like that, because I still look at it as a really exciting thing to do. I get excited to do it, and I still have people I look up to that are doing the same kinds of things, and it always feels fresh for me, and that's why I keep doing it. And I think that's important, that you love to do it.
That's it.
I just want to add 2 things on that, if I may. One was also one other thing I really, because when I started training, it was really hard to find resources about how to achieve these skills. So that, again, I was like, man, whatever I learn, I want to help people with, by like making it more easily accessible. And especially because injuries suck. Obviously, they're going to slow you down. And they're the worst. So if I can help anyone avoid an injury, then that's, again, I feel really happy about that. So again, like, showing how long mobility takes to get, I think is going to help people, because it'll help them, because you're not going to know unless you've seen, or you've been told, like, don't push your splits this hard, like, listen to your body, all these things that you need to learn by sort of doing it. But it obviously helps to have someone tell you that and show you how long it took them. So that's one thing. And the other thing was that I love about bodyweight and everything in general is, like, it just happened the other day, because I've been doing rock climbing recently for Ninja Warrior as well. And I was with some friends, and we were just exploring like a cliff for like a picnic, super random. But what I noticed was I was climbing onto this rock, and I did like a muscle up over a ledge, and then I was also flagging, which is like a rock climbing term for like offsetting one leg for balance. Anyway, and then so I got up on this thing, which I guess most people couldn't, but I did it comfortably and like without any danger, and just had this thought of like, that's so cool that I can go wherever I want safely. And it wasn't even a strain, because obviously muscle up's not very hard for me, so to do it was quite comfortable. And I just thought, this is cool, like, this is what life's about. You can all these skills you're getting from what you love doing, anywhere in life, they're gonna you can use them, you know what I mean, like, to get somewhere, to lift someone up, or to help someone. It's just super, it just makes your life more like you can do more things.
Yeah, I couldn't have eaten that sandwich on the cliff if it wasn't for.
It was actually a
leg.
Look, guys, it was actually a rice cracker with some lavash kiri cheese and some salmon. Yes.
Back on that, the first point Lachlan made on these quick fire questions was specifically for our channel, and also through Ring Fraternity, which is what would you call it, a business company, whatever. Like, Lachlan and I would run, Lachlan still does run gymnastics classes, and the aim of that in our YouTube channel, specifically for this bodyweight training, was because we wanted to create something that wasn't there for us when we wanted it. That was another reason to say with our channels, we do aim to put up things that we would have wanted, that we think people in our similar situation would also benefit from, to give them that advantage that we didn't have.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So kind of going on from what you kind of mentioned, obviously why we started doing this, and as you said, it changes as you grow with what you're doing, and what keeps motivating you now. The fact that you're enjoying it is one, but yeah, what has changed? What kind of motivates you beforehand? What now motivates you to keep going, keep pursuing goals, keep progressing?
Well, my motto, Tom, stick as a motto. I kind of say, for me, it's about functionality. So it's training to make your body better at doing things. It's about move how you're meant to. Those kinds of phrases capture the essence of, I think, that the type of stuff you do physically in your training should help you. Like Lachlan gave that perfect example of the rice cracker on the cliff, is train so that you can move better in any environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So it equips, and to me that transcends gymnastics. It's not because Lachlan is, he does other stuff, the climbing, he embraces other things that will help improve, but is specifically gymnastics. Mine is not as focused on gymnastics, but focus is broader.
And this is where you fail, Tyson.
No. Yeah, so was your question is it changing at the moment?
Yeah, like what motivates you now compared to what motivates you before?
So I seek things that will help make me better at doing things, essentially. So one thing that I feel I lacked in the last year or so was self-defense. I have no self-defense training, and I thought that I don't go out and look for fights. I would, if there was some kind of confrontation, want to quash it with words. But if there was a situation where I had to fight, and the other person had like some vague idea of what they were doing, I put all this effort into gymnastics, into weightlifting, into mobility to make my body good. But if I don't know how to defend myself, I'm no better than someone that's done none of that training. So I thought that was something I was lacking, and something I'm trying to incorporate now. So just know my mindset is always looking for, I want to improve my body. I want it to be better at handling physical tasks or moving around in the environment. That's what I'm seeking.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, for some reason I'm finding it hard to articulate on this answer, but like when I first started training, I just watch a rings routine, say by Jordan Jovchev, and I'd just be in awe. Like to me it's just the coolest thing to see someone have the amount of strength to just pull themselves into whatever position they want to, and then on top of that to be able to swing with like massive amounts of power, and then to control it and land comfortably. To me that's really exciting. I guess it's like the ultimate action kind of. Yeah, like the ultimate thing you can do to your body. It's hard to explain for some reason, but I was just so inspired by it, and to me I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I guess that's what I thought, and then so naturally I'm like, so I want to be able to do that. And then now, I still obviously have that same feeling, but there's so many other benefits to gymnastics that apply to life. Like we've already spoken about a few, but one example is, and you don't get this as much from strength training, maybe a little bit, but nowhere near as much.
You mean like gymnastic strength training?
Yeah, or any body weight, any strength training, but it's the fear of when you're learning a new skill. So a good example is a backflip. Obviously the first time you're going to do it, you build up to it with smart methods, but there's always a point when you get to the progression where you have to make yourself very uncomfortable and do something you don't naturally want to do, and your body you're just worried about injuring yourself essentially, and you've got to push through that natural instinct of protecting yourself to do something that I'm capable of doing this. And that happens all the time. Anytime you're learning a new skill in gymnastics, on any apparatus, you're gonna be scared of like hitting the bar or falling or whatever it might be. And it's a bit of a skill itself to learn how to have that feeling, accept it, and then do it anyway. And so I love that. Like that's, it's practice as well. Like yeah. I think when I was a kid, I'm curious. I'm like, if I was a kid, I feel like I was a bit of a scaredy cat. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if I would have pushed through. Because definitely as I've gotten older, I feel that feeling, but I'm like, to respect myself, I have to do this. You know what I mean? Anyway, and with the, more broadly, that applies to life everywhere. Like because like I have goals or things that I respect, and then I will. Like as tiny, simple example, but like talking to a girl or something. Like if you're like that girl's cute, I want to talk to her, and then most people might have that natural feeling, but like, oh, but I might get rejected or whatever. But it's kind of the same as like when you're going for a skill, I might get hurt. But you're just like, no, I know what I need to do. I know what I want to do. I'm just going to go and do it. So it works. It helps you, I guess, in that situation. Then just anything, even like I said, starting gymnastics. Like I've started dancing recently, like hip hop dance, and the first class, I'm like, yep, I'm
do
gonna
a demonstration. Come on.
Look like it. Yeah, you have that feeling. Anything you're new to, you're gonna look a bit silly, but like it obviously, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I accept that I might look stupid, but I'm just gonna do this the best I can, and that way I'll progress the fastest I can. Yeah, so I love that, man. Like it's
I think what Lachlan's touched on is what I think is the essence of training. So when you see people that maybe want to be fit but don't know where to start or have no idea about training, they're like, oh, like I get bored on the treadmill, or like with bodybuilding, oh, I don't like. Is this it? No, what Lachlan's found is one of the main, if not the main thing that training gives to your life, which is one of the reasons why I think we love it so much, was because it's that metaphor for life of, to be successful, you need to have those failures behind you to learn from it and to get better, and then again to face your fears. So for training and specifically for Lachlan with gymnastics, if it so specifically puts that in front of you, that hurdle of, you either have to succeed here or fail and learn. And then, I mean, you could say it with cardio or something. Just say, for example, you're running and you want to quit and you keep going and you achieve it. That's great. But there's not, I mean, there is some kind of fear in that of like, oh, it hurts. Like, I don't want to quit. And then you get through it. But with gymnastics, you might want to quit, but you also, I'm scared to do this. You do gymnastics stuff as well, don't you, Tom? Or is it specifically, have you ever been at the top of a high bar and had to do a cast? Or
yeah, I've done bits and bobs.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure with tumbling as well, you just think, I have to do.
I think
this.
backflipping on parallel bars was the sketchiest thing.
Yeah. So exactly. I'm sure even thinking of that, you can think back and see how in life they say to face your fears, but backflip off P-bars directly puts that metaphor in front of you and challenges you to overcome it.
I think it's as well that like you're starting from, you can't fake it when it comes to training. It's not one of the few things in life, but
I have synthol seps. With big saggy oil triceps.
But you know what I mean? Like you can't fake a planche or a front lever. Like yes, it can be easier to achieve, but you still have to start from a point where things feel impossible and then work through it and progress to a point where things become possible. And I think that growth experience does translate into so many different ways of understanding that by putting the hard work in, using the process, being patient, that things do pay off in the long run. And whether you have to battle fears or something along the way as well. It is an awesome experience. I think it's just a good opportunity for growth to understand things more about yourself. And I think
it's every time you go into training, you're going to overcome or attempt to overcome that life lesson. So you can't not feel better after training.
Definitely.
Well, for us three anyway, if you're doing it right.
I also just wanted to mention, that fear thing. I love it because, at the end of the day, you can't let fear stop you from doing anything. Obviously, that just limits what you're going to do in life in general. So, because I mean, if you think about anyone that you respect or admire, chances are they've been they've done things that would scare lots of people, right? Like that's probably one way to think about it. But also, like, as training full time as a gymnast, so when I first started training, every now and then I'd be like, all right, here we go, this skill's gonna scare me, and I'd psych myself up for it. Like one epic session that I had with Tyson, I think the day before, we're like, tomorrow I'm going to do a triple back on rings and you're going to do a double back on floor. And then we like, okay, we're doing that. And then I spent like the whole day, I kept thinking about it, kept making my heart flutter. And then when we got so psyched up, we got to the session and we both did those things. And that was huge. I did a triple back when I could even, like, my dislocates were pretty sketchy. So that was, it was, and then Tyson did double back on the floor. It was such a cool session. But what I want to say is, like, it's easier sometimes to get yourself psyched up for that one thing. But another difficulty of gymnastics is you have to consistently be able to face the fears. Because often, like, I might feel tired or I might just not feel like training that day. And I go in and we're doing hard bar, I'm working on the swing half turn, the handstand. And I'm like, oh, I don't even feel fully awake. But now I'm going to do something where I might own myself. And I don't really want to do it. But I've noticed, like, you become stronger. You're like, well, you know, like, I don't want to do it right now, but if I can do it now, I can do it any time. And I know I just man up and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You might benefit from some priming, Lachlan. Like something that you do in the morning that just sets you for the day, so that you're never tired at gymnastics.
Yeah, but it's hard. I train every day, mate. You know, some days
something
it's just,
you would, like if you had a cold shower, like as soon as you woke up or something, and go to gym.
But sometimes life happens, man. Yes.
11 p.m. Skype calls.
Yeah.
Cool.
Damn you.
Got some questions from some people on Instagram that I put out. I was chatting to and sort of chosen 3 or 4 of the better ones. Going from Synthol Biceps, Will Brown asks, what steroids do you take?
How do you like that, Will? Hey?
If you're not watching on the YouTube channel and you're looking on Skype, they're just flexing on you, Will. Sorry, bro.
We're not going to... Yeah, we'll be on the YouTube video, won't we?
Yeah, but this is on iTunes and Stitcher and stuff as well.
Right.
So they can't see the biceps and all their glory, so if you are listening on iTunes, you missed out.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Brooker Ben...
I probably don't even know half the names of steroids, man.
Quick cover.
Well, just a quick interesting point on that is...
What are steroids?
I guess that's one other thing we could have mentioned, like one of the epic benefits and obviously things that I enjoy about gymnastics and bodyweight is just the physique you get. I mean, because obviously everyone, I presume most guys want that aesthetic, muscular physique. So it's really cool that you get that as a result. And I'm certainly, obviously, I find that I like that. But yeah, like just today, actually, one of the coaches told me he reckons I'd be better if I lost like 3 or 4 kilos of muscle. And I'm like, maybe.
Fat. Any more fat, Lachlan?
Yeah.
Look like the Titan.
Yeah, but anyway, so what I mean by that is it's interesting that someone obviously joking around about steroids when I'm not even trying to necessarily. I'm definitely not trying to be the biggest I can be. Like, I'm just trying to be strong, and like even potentially open to the idea of losing muscle. But it seems odd to try to go out of my way to lose muscle so I'm lighter. Do you know what I mean? Like I haven't really tried that before. I don't know if that would be counterproductive.
I did the same thing. So I lost 2 kilos to achieve one arm chin up, basically. Like a while ago, just to improve like strength to weight ratio. I went on a shortcut. I think I lost about 2 kilos. Yeah, and I ended up getting the one arm chin up as a result.
Was it 2 kilos of muscle or a bit of both?
I don't really stray beyond like 8% body fat. So I'm always like relatively lean. So it was probably muscle more than anything.
How did you achieve that? Were you just eating less?
Yeah, just cycling calories a little bit. And I mean, the same thing has happened more recently. I think I dropped again like a couple of kilos and I got closer to the planche than I'd ever got. Partly because I stopped training my legs a little bit less, which was useful.
Yeah.
But using Lachlan's tactics.
I would imagine you would just up your volume, right, and less intensity if you wanted to lose a bit of muscle, Lachlan.
Yeah, I mean, and also that's going to be a little bit less strenuous if you're in a deficit as well. You don't want to be pushing max effort CNS stuff when you're in a deficit. It's going to be tougher. And
just on that, like before we sweep this under the rug with the steroids, Dom, let's be honest. Because one of the reasons we're here is to promote our Stronger Bodyweight Workout Series 2. Is Lachlan and I did get before and after blood tests. So if you want to see what our testosterone levels are at and some other details, make sure you head over to the playlist and check that out.
Yeah. I guess we should also, for anyone that's ignorant, obviously we don't take steroids.
Yeah, no, that was just a joke.
I have had some people seriously ask me that, and I mean, they're like newcomers that they see someone strong and they just assume that, that.
I think it's a side effect of just training well, eating well, and I think people don't realize you guys have been doing this for 8 years. Like these sort of things don't happen overnight, and what you see now is a lot of hard work that's gone into that. So I think that's something that people don't.
I was building my legs since little athletic sprints.
I'd also say, please check out our earlier videos, because our channels are also sort of an archive of, like, certainly I've got a playlist on my channel with my gymnastics competitions, and I've filmed every single comp I've ever done, and my goal for that is so you can have a look when I started, where I was at, and then you can sort of gauge, so in 1 year you made this much progress. So like that way it might help people to understand where maybe they can compete against me. Maybe in a year they'll try and get a bit better than I was after a year. But also you can see the physique change, because I definitely think after only a year of rings, like my physique was like people definitely comment on it.
It's crazy.
Because obviously, the gains become more and more subtle as you get better. But I think in a year you'll make a huge, like going from someone that doesn't train to training, they're going to get that good physique and all that. And then they probably just want more and more. Yeah.
I got another question from Philip Briskill, and he asked, "What's the best bang for your buck ring exercise?"
Really?
What a question!
Yeah,
I think the best bang for your buck would be skin the cat and its variations. There's nothing else I can really think of that will give you a mobility exercise, a strength exercise, the variety to make it more challenging and to scale it to a beginner than skin the cat. And if people aren't familiar with that jargon, it's from a dead hang, and if you were doing the beginner variation, you would pull your knees up to your chest, pull up to invert, come down to German hang, which is a hang.
The extension.
Yeah, and then pull back. And it's really, to me, that's the best bang for your buck, because it covers so many different aspects of what gymnastic strength training is, or what you can get out of this.
Interesting choice.
I'll have to just go to be different. Yes. I mean, it's really hard, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't just train one skill, guys. I keep it simple in a way. Like, don't have ridiculous numbers. But muscle up is very good in the sense where you're doing a pull up.
Iron cross.
I thought you
just love it. You just say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess this is more basic, but yeah, the muscle up, just because it combines the pull and the push, and you're doing almost like every muscle in the upper body in that one skill. Yeah. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
Can't disagree there. The last question is from Frank, and he says, "What is your favorite exercises for the planche and front lever?" Frankie boy.
He doesn't hold back, does he? For me, what are the best exercises for planche?
What's the ones that has helped you most? Is what you said.
The best for me is the negative. So that's being in a handstand and lowering down into the planche position. Lachlan and I usually go through the planche position, and that's so good because it puts you in the planche position, but because you're dynamically moving through it, it gives you the chance to get time in the position.
Mm-hmm.
But then that led me, so that's one, there's two, that led me to the next one, which is using bands. I don't know why I didn't think about it for so long, but because the band around your hips reduces the weight, you can hit the exact planche position that you're aiming for, whether it be straddle or full planche like mine is, and hold it for time. So your body is getting used to the position, you're getting used to the technique that you need to apply, and did I already say you get time? Yeah, you get time in the position. There's nothing else that lets you, that you can do negatives, but you're not going to be able to spend 10 seconds in full planche like the bands allow you to.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I thought held me back in the Stronger Bodyweight Workout Series 2, was I wasn't getting enough time in my goal movements and positions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I'd just keep it simple and just say the band it's quite ultimate in the sense where you can reduce the assistance as you get stronger. Because obviously you don't want to become, again, yeah, when we're saying these things, obviously we're not saying do this one thing only, because the problem with that is you become reliant on the band, and then like you definitely need to be training it unassisted as well to get the understanding and the balance and the feel for that. But I agree, the band makes it very intense, that you can adjust the intensity to exactly where you're at, you know what I mean? And that's really valuable, especially if you're hitting the full position. So you can just really go 100% for, say, 10 seconds. And then as each week, try to slowly reduce the spot. Yeah.
I think that the two recommendations definitely combo. You got the negative, which then involves the handstand and the balance aspect, which a lot of people do forget. People can't do a handstand and then try to do the planche. Like, you do need to learn that balance aspect. And then
that was the plug. Is the latest video I put out with Niall was if you can't do a handstand and you still want to train for planche, there's a few exercises in there. So I 100% recommend the negative and the bands, but I was in a position earlier this year where I couldn't handstand.
And so, Frankie, mate, is his name Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yes. I didn't forget about your front lever question. Don't worry, mate. For front lever, it's a tough one. The front lever is so difficult, even though it's...
Did he ask for front lever as well?
Yeah. See, I'm like the complete opposite to you. Like, I can't planche, but I can front lever relatively okay. And I've always been alright.
That's cool, man.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Very strange. I have to say negatives to front lever, I think. Again, definitely don't just do one thing, like combine them with certain things. I mean, a point on this as well is, I think it's very true, is the best way to train any skill is by doing the skill. So actually trying to do the front lever is a really good way to train it. But if you do that alone, like, you've obviously got to build up to it and things like that. So I think the negative is fantastic to just build that general strength. And you can modify the difficulty by extending your body from the ball all the way to the straight body. And it just helps build that range of motion so you can gain strength everywhere.
I like it.
Yeah. I think the best one for front lever is ice cream makers. I hate ice cream makers. So many times I see people that can't front lever doing the ice cream maker, which, if people don't know what that is, it's holding yourself like at the top of a pull-up and then pushing back to front lever. And while that's cool for people conditioning that can front lever, when you're learning it, it's just a mess of an exercise to do, I think. But yeah, I made a jokey and one I don't like, because Lachlan said the one that I would recommend would be a negative. Put in using the
That's
band.
so confusing, mate. That's so confusing.
Awesome, guys.
Don't do ice cream makers. Do what Lachlan said.
I think they're both good suggestions for sure. I got one last question for you both, and it doesn't have to be training related, but as you said on your YouTube channel, you like to give people advice that they can go and take away, and that's something I like to do. So I like to, rather than beat around the bush, like, what's something you can take away today and you can go and do and apply to your training, your life, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So if you have one piece of advice that people can go and do and try today, what would that be?
Can you give me a second to think about it? Because that's a great question.
I can give you an example. So Ryan Hurst in the last episode talked about taking time to breathe and become mindful, whether you do that at the beginning of your training sessions or
Ryan
the beginning of
said
your day.
that?
That was his example.
That's good advice. No, that's good. Lachlan and I met Ryan, and he's a super nice guy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Very sound.
I'm jealous.
Nice.
He is.
For me, it would kind of tie into that question you asked before, how you said, how has my training changed? And I said, my training changes based on things that I might find or think about that would improve my physical capabilities that I'm not yet applying. So when it comes to training, I know you said it doesn't have to be, but I'm in training mode now because I'm talking to the bodyweight warrior. It's that when it comes to training, you should train to make your body better at doing things. Unless you have a specific passion for bodybuilding, I think that it's quite empty and superficial. Not like in a judgment way. I think that if you're not sure and you choose to make your goal, I'll just look better, I think that's an empty goal that won't lead to much satisfaction and likely disappointment. And yeah, so I think that when you structure your training or think about, what do I do? Like, I want to train, I want to get fitter, I want to move, but I don't know. Choose things that will make you be able to move better. And then the addition to that is do something that you enjoy. Because I do bodyweight training, and I haven't done it for a while, but Olympic lifting, and I love those two movements. But that is specific to me. So while I would recommend those movements to everyone because they have such a tremendous carryover to everything else, I think that at the end of the day, you should do things that you enjoy. So if I was to force someone to do Olympic lifting and they didn't really like it, that's going to be just as hollow as me solely doing bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Because they're not, at the end of the day, getting enjoyment out of what they're doing, what they're allocating their time to. So think about what you like to do. Do you like to climb? Do you like to play polo on the back of a horse? Do you like to swim? Do you like to abseil? Do you like to go wakeboarding? Like, think about physically, what do you enjoy, and break it down into what can I learn in that thing to get better. So for me, it started with rings training with muscle up, then back lever. For climbing, it might be just at your local center. I just want to get the green. I want to be able to do the green track. But yeah, train for skill acquisition and choose movements that you enjoy doing. Otherwise, what's the point?
Cool, great answer. Lachlan?
And take a minute to breathe every day and practice. Love you, Ryan.
Can you just repeat the question for me one more time before I think I've got an answer, but I want to make sure it's appropriate.
So yeah, it was one piece of actionable advice that people can take away into their practice today and start doing. So for Tyson, I guess it was just do stuff you enjoy. If you're not enjoying it, what's the point? So what would your answer be?
If you want to dump it down, Tom, yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah. My answer is very obscure and not as much training related, but I figure that might be more interesting and insightful for people.
Go wild.
Yeah, I was just going to say, at the end of the day, relationships are the most important part of life, and they'll bring you like the most happiness of anything. So always keep that as a priority. Yeah, I just think that's really important. Yeah, I'm always really happy, but I think if you keep that in mind, it makes every part of your life better. And like a quick example to bring it back to training is like training with a partner. Like, they'll push you. You know what I mean? Like, you might train harder if they're making good progress and you want to keep up with them. They'll keep you motivated. So sometimes you mightn't feel like training, but if you know they're coming or whatever, then you're going to be much more likely to train. And you'll just generally enjoy it more. Like, it's much more fun to be doing something with someone together, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So it makes life more fun, man. Yeah, I think it's just important. Sometimes you get caught up in all the things you might be doing and working on and striving for, but yeah, friends and relationships are key.
Awesome, I love it. Well, thank you guys for joining me, chatting about everything. and given some really good answers. It was great to get to know you a little bit. And for people who don't know who you are, which I'm surprised, you were very recommended on when I asked for recommendations. Where can people find out more about you? What's your strongest series, etc.? All the links I will put that you're about to say will be in the description or the show notes as well for people who are interested.
Yeah, so you can search mine at The Tyson Edwards on YouTube and Instagram, and I should have a website launching soon under the same name. So I've captured all the Tyson Edwards possibilities.
Super convenient.
And check out our Stronger Bodyweight Workout Series 2. All episodes are up now. It was a very long time in the making because we put so much effort into this series to make it the best it can be. It follows Lachlan and myself, our own journeys or individual journeys on our own channels, and we are aiming for 4 body weight, strength, and mobility goals. And it's just a fun journey. There's a lot of fun to be had.
Yeah,
I think an important point to make as well is it's timeless. You can watch this series today, or you can watch it in a year or in 10 years, and it doesn't matter when you watch it. It's going to give you as much value because the principles of training and that don't change. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, anyone who hasn't watched it's basically like a TV show about gymnastics and bodyweight training and all of their stuff. So it's very
It's a compliment. Well, I take it as a compliment. Thank you, Tom.
No, definitely it should be.
And for myself, Lachlan Walker, YouTube and Instagram are the main platforms I use, and my handle is LachFlex. LACH Flex, like the LachFlex monster.
Not to cut in Lachlan, but a lot of people had trouble with Lachlan's name in America and stuff. So do you want to just tell them that it's not LOCK?
Yeah. LACH. Credit to Osiris, my man, for the name. Yeah. A quick little random story for you, Tom, and for anyone still listening, God bless you. Yes. Is that when we were in LA filming Stronger, we met. Like I'll make the story a lot briefer, but we met someone that recognized me on the beach from Stronger Series 1. We met his friends, and we ended up meeting this group of rappers in LA. And anyway, that's one of them was like LachFlex Monster, and I'm like, that's very cool. So thanks to Osiris for that, because it's just flows well, you know. You make the connection, right, Tom?
Yeah.
It's like the Loch Ness Monster for anyone that didn't get it. Yeah. Also, I had a question for you, Tom, if I may.
Shoot. Yeah, please.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know who inspires you, and if you have someone that you think is like number one, because I think obviously that's insightful into what you respect and strive for, and it can help other people to get more inspired as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard for me because the last 6+ months I've been injured, so there's like not much that I've been able to do or do consistently to work towards. So really my focus has not been on myself, but on helping other people. So I guess really what inspires me is like what you said when you hear comments of people saying, this helped me do this, helped me do that. So that really what inspires me to, I'm not, for myself, I do it because I enjoy it, but I don't really care if I get better or get worse. I just kind of like doing what I'm doing. I'm doing it to help other people more than anything, to be quite honest. I definitely watch Niall Wilson. I'm a big fan of Niall Wilson. He's definitely an inspirational guy. Very interesting to watch him do. I'm a big fan of Fitness FAQs, Daniel Badnall, who's also from your neck of the woods.
I feel like, I was going to say, I feel like we're on here just because he didn't return your messages, Tom.
Had to fill the quota for Australian guests.
He's a real dick, isn't he?
And obviously, I mean, you guys inspired me to create a lot of the series that I created. Like, up until that point, I'm not really sure what I was doing on YouTube, but when I watched Stronger series, I was like, cool, I like this idea of like bringing a TV show to document training and document the process and that sort of format. So that's what inspired me to do like Project Planche and things back in the day when I thought I could get Planche in 8 weeks.
Mate, we've all been there, mate. Don't worry.
3 years later, and still, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered your question, maybe vaguely.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
I'm a,
Any non-training related people, or do you want to just stick to training?
no, non-training related people is cool. I like Gary Vaynerchuk. He makes me laugh. He's a good guy. Very inspirational.
I don't know this.
I don't always watch his stuff, but I like what he says. He speaks a lot of truth. I like people who don't bullshit. There's nothing I hate more than people who just aren't themselves. So that straight away. I think people who are authentic, genuine. You can tell, like Gary Vee, he's not in it to do whatever. He's just doing what he does, which is awesome.
Is he a comedian? I don't know who he is.
Gary Vaynerchuk is so he's a entrepreneur from America. But he has his own YouTube channel and stuff. I mean, he's got like $100 million company, but he's got a very respectable work ethic. But he's just very much like, if you ask for advice, he's not the sort of snake oil salesman, promise you stuff. He's like, put in the work. He gives it to you how it is, basically, which is what I like. I don't like.
With your inspiration, Tom, like how you've been injured and you've been wanting to, you kind of draw that inspiration from helping other people and seeing their results. Does that tie into, well, what I wanted to ask was, where do you see your channel going from now? Like, do you have a big goal? Or if you were to, say, reach 1 million subscribers, would the channel be very similar to how it is? Or would it be more like vlogging? Or basically asking, what's the vision going forward for your channel? Because you're growing quite quick, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is again, like, this is a blessing of the injury in disguise, in a sense, because, like, I couldn't do a lot of the stuff that I was doing, and then it ended up me getting into mobility, and then also being able to spend a lot more time investing in my education and learning more about this. So being injured in a way led to, like, the growth of the YouTube channel, because I could give better advice and do different advice. I think I feel like mobility is probably more of a focus and more of an interest than gymnastics training. Although it is interesting, I'm kind of interested in moving for a long time rather than a short time.
But do you see, your channel being more as a hub to help people, or would it be kind of denial? How, he helps people, but it's also just a very awesome, cool insight into his training and life.
Yeah, I think so. Niall Wilson's a very inspirational guy and a very interesting guy. He's got a good personality, so I think. I may probably not as interesting to watch, but hopefully, like, the information that I can give, I think I'm a good teacher. So my whole thing is just helping people, and that's what I do, and that's, I think, what I always do. I try to do vlog stuff, but again, the point of a vlog is to show people an insight of why I do things. So it's still teaching. Yeah. So I think that's ultimately where it's. I think the reason people have come hopefully to these channels is that they got some use out of seeing it. So people get use out of going to see Niall because it's inspirational and they can see him doing some crazy stuff. For me, hopefully, it's that you can take it away and apply it to your life. And to wrap it up, then, thank you guys for joining me, coming to chat, sparing your time. I know it's a bit of a ridiculous hour where you are, so thank you for that. If you haven't already heard of Lachlan and Tyson, obviously links to everything that we've talked about in today's show is in the show notes or the description down below, so make sure you go check them out. But that has been it. Thanks, guys, for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Cool.
Thanks very much, Tom.
Thanks for having us.
See ya.